for itself. That's why the fund, the beach fund, was created. And as we all know, unlike the federal government, we don't have the luxury of printing money, nor do we have the luxury of having an unbalanced budget. So each one of these funds, the electric utility, the golf course, the beach, the general fund, all of our funds have to be balanced. Okay? Now, to the extent that how much we're losing up there is unknown, and I hope the staff can tell us that. Because we apparently have cut staff. We don't have enough coverage for lifeguards. Okay? We've deferred maintenance.
That's horrible.
We're not keeping up with our capital plan up there. We're cutting corners to balance the budget for the beach fund. So we are potentially creating an unsafe situation. And we all know what happens when you have deferred maintenance. That's how we got in that situation up there in the first place with that casino building. Because it was never taken care of. So here we are. And I want to hear from the city manager and I want to hear from staff. Just exactly how much would we, under ideal circumstances, would it take for us to break even up there? Because the only, in my mind's eye, the only reason we're having this conversation about an ITN is to cover and make up for commitments that were made by our predecessors that we're not able to make good on. We don't have the luxury of not making good on commitments we made to the public. We told the public it would break even at worst. We told the public when we took $6 million of the utility money, $6 million of utility money that over the 100 years of this city was in place, we never ever gave a nickel back to our utility customers. We just kept raising the rates and raising the rates, and people cried and they moaned and they bitched and they complained about the high cost of utilities. But somehow we were socking money away. We couldn't build new roads. We couldn't put something into the Park of Commerce to create jobs. But we sure enough could find $6 million to rebuild the building. That, number one, was overbuilt. The least the space that's up there now, that's not leased, was never supposed to be in the original plan. Is that right, Mr. Wyers?
Right. The original proposal that was proposed by REG Architect only had one space on the second floor.
That's right. So we overbuilt it.
I'm not going to conjecture that. I just know that in order to make the numbers work, there needed to be a certain amount of square footage that would be leasable.
No, that wasn't what we agreed on, though, when we voted on it. That was after the fact. So after we did the deed, and said it's only going to be $6 million, which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I looked Morganti in the face. And I looked the vendors in the face, and I said, you're telling me, after we argued over this for a year or so, you're telling me that this building is not going to cost a penny more than $6 million. Oh, no, sir, it's not going to cost more than $6 million. I saw, in the spirit of coming together and doing a good project for the community, I'll make the motion that we move forward. Of course, I knew in my heart that it wasn't going to happen that way. So we had to put the extra space on the top floor, and then we had to start working it back and value engineering the building. We took out the things that the community wanted. We didn't get those things. In fact, the building's not even a green building, which I understand by state law, after a certain point, municipal buildings have to be green. The building doesn't even have a CO. The building doesn't even have a CO because it wasn't done right. Because there was not enough money to do it right. And the story goes on and on and on. So the big question is, and this is why, are you okay, city manager? You look like you're about ready to die. You're all right?
That was a couple of years ago.
Okay. I'm like trying to finish it off tonight. So here we are. So here we are, after the building's been open without a CO, without enough tenants. Oh, by the way, we had a proposal for somebody to take both the top and the bottom floor. But for some reason, we didn't do that. You know what they say about a bird in the hand, right? So we didn't do that. So here we are, on top of all of our budgetary constraints. Remember, each fund that we have has to balance. and this one doesn't balance. And as the city manager said earlier, they've done the very best they could to make it look like everything is well up there. So the casual observer thinks everything is just fine on the beach. And it may continue to look that way for a few years. But the reality of it is, the deferred maintenance is gonna catch up with us. Okay? The reality is, we may have a problem as far as safety up there is concerned because of staffing. Those are things, liabilities, potential liabilities, we have to consider. You know, I wish in my heart of hearts that that project would have done exactly what it was intended to do, but it didn't. And I want the public to know why we're having the conversation about the ITN to begin with. Because at its core, if that project had gone off without a hitch the way it was laid out for everybody and sold to everybody, we're not having this conversation tonight. And we're all home watching whatever the 2 season finales are tonight on television for Dancing with the Stars or whatever the heck it is. The Voice. So, you know, it just bothers me that I'm sorry, sorry about that. It bothers me that people don't understand why we got here or how we got here, but I think they need to know how we got here. I think once they know that, it might be easier for them to understand what the hole it is we have to dig out of. And, you know, I haven't looked with any great detail at any of the 3 projects. All I know is for some reason, at least one of these projects has been squarely put in the bullseyes of some folks, and a lot of things have been said about it. So much so that I don't even know what the hell the truth is anymore. But I'm hoping that we're gonna get to the bottom of that. And to the comment about the footprint, you know, and cars, I think Commissioner Amoroso was talking about that a moment ago. I don't know for the life of me why in the world we go out for an ITN. We'd invite people to come in to give us some ideas on what they may or may not be able to do up there, and not know what our capacity is in terms of cars. That just boggles my brain. Why would we invite somebody to do something when we don't even know what they can do? That's just senseless, absolutely senseless. But I will say this, any development, whether it's a hot dog cart or, what's the rumor, they're building hotels? That's the age-old, they're putting a hotel up there. Any development up there is gonna create cars. And if we don't know what our capacity was to start with, we got a problem. But the reality of it is, whoever puts a hot dog stand or builds a hotel needs parking. Okay, so it's kind of circular. Which comes first, the chicken or the egg? That's where we are. We don't even know what we can do up there. However, we went forward with this casino building. We created a footprint for potential future development, or whatever you want to call it. I hate that word, development, because people get all upset about it. Expansion, if you will. But I will tell you this, whether it is a hot dog stand, or what, a wave pool, or whatever the heck it is, one thing I do know for sure is that if this commission moves forward and does something up there, you can rest assured that the city will not be liable financially, because it's other people's money is being put in play, not ours. And a funny thing happens when private sector gets involved, invests their money. They protect their assets. They make sure it's done correctly, okay? Or they won't do the job and do the project to begin with. So any proposal, whether it's hot dog stand, whatever, they're not gonna come to us unless there's something in it for them. And there's nothing wrong with them making a profit. Mulligan's makes a profit, I hope. The t-shirt shop makes a profit, I hope, and I'm right on down the line. So I just want everybody to understand where we're coming from and how we got here before everybody gets up and offers their comments. And we have a lot of soul searching to do between now and the time this commission makes the final decision, any decision on which way to move forward. Thank you.
Vice